You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Betoota Advocate, on Desert Rock FM. Welcome back to the Betoota Advocate radio show. I'm hoping my collar's
it's looking fine.
Looks beautiful, yeah.
It's one of the rare ones where we're filming. We've got cameras here, by the way, guys. So
the shark, I didn't notice.
Yeah, we're not going to be doing a full YouTube video unless we get spun gold out here, but we'll be using this for social media. This is the new world we're in. My name's Clancy Overall, editor of the Betoota Advocate. I'm joined by Effie Bateman, who is effectively our guru on lifestyle, culture, the fine arts, and dating. And today's guest, Ben and Chris from Silverchair. We're really excited to have you guys.
Excited to be here.
Now, this would be a familiar feeling for you guys, being brought in to meet the big media guns as young men, starting from a very young age. Now, the narrative is, and this is my tinfoil hat, man, these kids were only 14 when they started. I think that's bullshit. I also think that's revisionist to protect the record labels that took you around the world as minors. I know for a fact you guys were 12 when it started.
Yeah, essentially the band formed, like the three of us came together at the age of 12. I mean, Ben and Dan were, I guess their musical journey started even a few years before that. But essentially the crux of the band was from about the age of 12.
12 is...
And
no one's really emphasising that is preteen age.
Preteen.
Yeah.
You're not teenagers at 12.
Well, we hadn't quite left the garage at that point, though.
Yeah, right.
And then I guess by the age of 14, it was the band had been discovered, essentially. Yeah.
Time moved a lot faster back then.
No, I reckon as you think it's slow. Now time's moving fast.
Yeah,
it's
right.
like,
I'm just wondering how that turnaround from being 12-year-olds from probably just in Newey High, maybe not even in Newey High yet at that point.
13 was year 7, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So just stepping into year 7.
Year 7. And then within how many years from that point was it until you were touring America with the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
2 years.
18 months, yeah.
Yeah. It is pretty wild looking back now. It's crazy.
It's an amazing story. You obviously, for that particular perfect cross-section in Australian media, where Triple J was the overlord, and people would actually watch those shows like Recovery and Rage and stuff like that, to have homegrown talent that they could showcase to young people kind of would have put you in living rooms all around the country, but no more than your hometown of Newcastle, who really had it going on around this time as well, by the way. The Newcastle Knights were starting to win.
Yeah.
You had...
there were a lot of good things coming
out. A lot of vibes at Newey.
Yeah. And you had all the pubs, and you also had, the people that had kind of made a name from Newey Rock before you. Can you tell me, what was it like when you first met those old battlers, like the Screaming Jets and those kind of guys? We've also spoken to Gleeso about this too before. He said your parents brought you through, but I only heard from his perspective, which was they were off their heads and they were trying to offer advice to you. And you guys were like wide-eyed preteens.
I do feel there was a genuine helping hand, from those guys because, we were just kids and
young, dumb, and the rest.
Not full of rum yet. Because you didn't start drinking until you were
14.
But I also like the story that there was like your parents were on tour. One of your parents was always on tour, right?
Yep. Was it either the mums or the dads?
Mums or the dads. I'm sure I didn't know which one was more responsible. But it was either the mums or the dads. And then you turned 18. I'm guessing you all turned 18 at the same time.
Yeah, we're sort of April, October, and November. So it was...
what happened then? What was the arrangement as you were all of voting age? Tax-paying voters, did you tell your parents to stay home?
Yeah, essentially, pretty much the day came where we got to rip the Band-Aid off, and it's not like we just went berserk overnight.
No,
you're like 18 and you're trying to find where the limit is, but we still had good management around us and good people, but we had bags of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what our parents should have done as we were getting closer to the 18 mark, they should have let the reins out a little bit.
Okay.
But they were kind of like, they were holding on as hard as they could because I think
like
they...
a Melbourne Cup and the gates open.
Yeah, they were like, oh, it's almost at the end.
But that makes you rebel more, I think.
Yeah, that's it. If they let the reins out a little bit as we were getting close to 18,
when your boys are about to take off around the world at 18, or they're 15, come on, mate, just loosen the reins up a little.
Out of it.
Yeah.
No, but if they did, once we turned 18, we would have been more likely to say, hey, why don't you come out for a few days on tour? But because they were so like almost trying to be like strict parents on the road, like, you know, once you turned 18, it was like, that's it, we're cutting the ties, we're off.
Yeah.
See you later.
I mean, it's an interesting one because it's such a, like what you guys went through as superstar rock stars, you know, Australian rock heroes at such a young age is such a rare thing for people to, and I mean, of course you're aware of that. But it's a very, very bizarre situation your parents found themselves in. Were there parent meetings about this shit as it started to pop?
Well, we were only just talking about this the other day about the fact that we're kind of that age now that what our parents were.
Yeah, right.
Traveling the world with teenagers, and I like it's sort of just dawned on me. I was like, oh, wow.
How would you manage it?
How would you navigate that?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess we were just lucky. They were happy to support us and let us run off with our craziest dreams.
Follow our dreams, yeah.
Did you have any bands try and corrupt you?
I've got a memory of Offspring actually at the Adelaide Hilton, and we wanted to hang out with them and like chat with them because we were like, this is Offspring, this is bloody cool. And they were like, if you want to hang out with us and spend time with us, you have to drink with us. So that's, you know, and they'd bring out shots and our parents were there and we were underage and we were like kind of going like, we're going to get away with it? Bang, and then, you know.
Well, they had conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You want to sit at the table?
Yeah.
There's also a few rumours around the Steel City about the Newcastle Knights corrupting you guys.
Well, there's one legendary story of Joey Johns going and grabbing Daniel the following
Mad
morning
Monday,
after
On Mad Monday.
winning the premiership. But I mean,
I think that's been blown out of proportion. I
remember seeing the guys a bit around town, like when I was sort of 18 and starting to go out in Newey, and you know, there was definitely a scene.
Yeah, there was a club in Newcastle called the Mercury, and there was a few levels, but there was between one level there was always like these set of stairs with a road case, and I'd walk between the levels, and Joey'd sit there but on this road case, and if he spotted me, he'd always be like, Benny. And I'd go and end up talking to Andrew for like an hour just at the Mercury,
About the life and times.
the life and times. Yeah.
Well, they had the chair and they had the silverware and they had the steel. Do you guys feel, because, you know, when you popped off, it was everyone had long hair. Also shirtless, I forgot, in the Tomorrow video.
Oh, that was Chris.
That was you. You went shirtless.
That was this rig.
Yeah. Do you think the whole Daniel having platinum blonde hair and probably, you know, like more kind of very much like he had that grunge features in his kind of, you know, jaunting kind of jutting cheekbones, you say. Do you think that kind of hid you a little bit in like the plain, like in the, you know, with you two just kind of looking similar to each other and then him popping out as a platinum blonde? Do you reckon, you know, in some aspects, because I know it happens with the Betoota team, like it's the guy with the beard who's 6'5" that cops it, and they get to hide in plain sight.
I think, naturally him being the front man,
Yeah.
definitely the spotlight was on Dan more so than us, and you know he definitely, I guess with that came other things, good and bad.
Yeah.
He definitely wore the brunt of you know a lot of that sort of.
So like no one
attention.
knows where you met your missus, but everyone would know where he met his missus. You know what
totally.
I mean? Like,
yep.
Which I guess is haunting in many aspects. I want to talk about Newey High. I might have told you guys before this, but when we interviewed Mikey Robbins, Newcastle comedian, good Newsweek fame. We always like to ask the question, which is ridiculous.
Hang on. I think I know this story.
We wouldn't bother asking you this question, but the question is, when did you know you'd made it? And he said, I knew I'd made it when I got invited back to Newcastle High to speak to the students. And he was talking about being a big shot. And he said he looked down in front of him and there was about... The way he worded it was, I was looking at about $20 million worth of Silverchair.
I remember that day at school.
Yeah.
The fact that your parents insisted that you remain at school and the students just deal with having, Australia's biggest band at school with them, is that a clutch moment? Is that like a lifesaver for you guys? Because I can imagine a school infrastructure could actually put up with that, and everyone at school just assumes that everyone has a band at school that's famous. You know what I mean? Was life normal in that aspect?
Well, I mean, we were lucky that our principal actually was very supportive, and he really helped navigate the school time. But there was a kind of whiplash between. We were living two lives ultimately. We had this incredible life on the road, touring and playing in front of audiences. Then we'd come home and you're in school uniform, hanging out with your mates. But a lot of our mates we knew before the band had taken off, so they, in a way, they kind of helped keep us level-headed and grounded and.
You weren't going to get away with much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You weren't going to get special treatment.
No, they did not. It was Newcastle in the 90s. You weren't getting away with nothing.
So then you hit the road. I have to say, in looking at your strange story the other night, the way the music matured was really interesting. It kind of matured with what I feel a lot of young people that kind of found you. They could have been as young as you were when you started. And it was a good insight into maturing tastes that people go through.
Yeah.
You just change it up and you've got new influences. What do you think you were listening at the start, and what do you think influenced you, 2 albums in?
As a band starting at 12, you've got so much musical room to grow.
Yeah.
I think if you were still playing the music that you're excited about when you're 12 and 14, if you're still playing that when you're 30, I imagine you'd be extremely bored. It felt like a natural progression to want to push ourselves and see how far we could push the boundaries. So it was important for us as artists to always keep exploring and growing and changing and evolving.
Yeah.
Were you listening to what your parents were listening to? Because I know when I was a teenager, I would always listen to whatever my dad was listening to, like Fleetwood Mac.
Bit of travelling Wilburys.
Yeah, you look at that was pretty good. I got that one. Essentially, it all sort of started from Dad's record collections. Luckily, they had good taste.
Yeah.
They weren't playing Bring Back the Bass or what? I don't know any of that.
Yeah. You weren't limited to I know what you're saying. There was some music at that time that was kind of, parents could be listening to that was pretty sanitized. It didn't have that much kind of, they could have been listening to doo-wop,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So it was a thing. The bands were a thing. I think Australia discredits the different pub rock eras we've had. We think of pub rock and we think of Chisel and all the old 10-pound poms coming out of Adelaide, right? We don't think about the 90s. Right now, I'd say the dominant kind of live music venues would be clubs. But back then, it was still very much pubs. When you guys were kicking off, it was still very much pubs. And you would have been spoilt for venues to play in, providing the publican was loose enough to let young men as young as 12 or 13 in their venues. What was the work rate like before you took off on these international tours?
Well, I mean, what do you mean from 12?
Yeah, were you touring? When did you start doing pubs? Was it after you came down to Sydney and won that?
It was kind of Battle of the Bands in pubs at that point, or
talent
or the
quests,
gig, here and there. But they were all essentially pubs or
So
or
you
some
didn't.
hall.
I'm just realizing now as I'm interviewing you, you guys didn't have to really do the circuit. You didn't really have to. Well, you just kind of moved faster than that.
We played wherever we could around Newey at the time.
Yeah, right.
And then it all sort of took off once we did won the Nomad competition on SBS, and then the opportunity to record in Triple J with Phil McKellar, and then just a few sliding door moments. It all sort of pedal to the metal.
We did play at a very classy venue in Newcastle called the Jolly Roger.
Yeah.
And I think we didn't play on this night, but I think every Wednesday night was a topless night.
Oh, yeah, the skimpies.
That was a given.
Yeah. We didn't play on those nights.
Rolls.
Yeah.
But we weren't allowed in the venue because we were underage. They were like, you cannot go into the venue. Yeah. You have to stay in the band room. And that was the rule. But we just played wherever we could, whenever we could.
I've met both of you guys on separate occasions, and I've found you quite, how would you say, balanced and responsible. But in this book you've done, and in the Australian Story the other night, it reveals that, funnily enough, at the later stages of the band, you guys were partying a bit too hard, which is, we were just talking about here how the reins came off and you guys were 18. Why do you think it took you guys like 10 years to start fucking up? Or at least partying too hard?
For me, I felt like somehow I was keeping the partying kind of under control somehow.
Yeah.
And then maybe in my late 20s, like, I don't know, this weird kind of, this something clicked inside of me and I just couldn't have a drink without getting absolutely poleaxed.
I call it the gremlin.
The gremlin, totally.
Yeah.
The gremlin came out and there was no in between. There was either... I'm either getting absolutely smashed or zero. Yeah. But I think the drinking culture within the band changed as well. Yeah. Like we were just drinking became... We never drank before stage, but then it started taking drinks on stage. And, you have that perception of like when you've got that twilight that you're, this gig is great. But the reality is it wasn't very good at all. So it didn't happen quickly. It just gradually crept into the culture of the band. And ultimately, I think, between bad communication between the three of us and drinking, that's kind of what was the reason that it all fell apart, but which is, it's a cliche. Like that happens to so many bands.
Yeah. But most bands don't get over a decade in. You kind of... Were you music nerds at the start of this thing? Were you guys nerds about making
really
music?
Committed to being the best band we possibly could.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Rehearsing was a very serious thing, and making sure we were prepared and basically just a conscious effort to be the best we possibly could be. It was definitely.
In terms of rehearsal, like we would say for an album or a tour, we would rehearse and rehearse and rehearse, and we just to the point where it's almost too much. Like we just, we were very, we always wanted to be a great band.
And I guess by the time you guys started getting really loose, you knew you were one.
Well, I guess we did come to a point where we were confident, it didn't mean we slackened off on doing that preparation.
Through caution of the wind a bit more.
We were like, oh yeah, we can get away with it because we are a good band, so we can get away with it. But we didn't.
Yeah, you didn't get away with it.
Well, I imagine anyone who's just being offered booze all the time. Like whenever I go to a function and there's free booze, I'm like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, there's no special occasion anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But how did you guys get a handle on it eventually?
We didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't?
I mean, the band didn't, but you guys seem as I said before, you seem pretty kind of balanced now. Did it all taper off once the band kind of stopped doing what you were doing, or?
Yeah, look, for me personally, I was a genuine alcoholic and I did a couple of AA sessions. It didn't really work for me. So that was a whole other journey for me. But I also think just with a bit of age and hopefully a little bit of wisdom,
sprinkling of wisdom,
you do start to grow up and also once you have children, that is a big change. Like there's no all of a sudden,
more.
It's not about you anymore. You've got these two. You got humans that you need to care for, and so life just changes.
Which is interesting because we're talking about how loose and the booze and all that kind of stuff. Chris, you ended up in pubs. Let's talk about that.
For me, once the band sort of went into its indefinite hibernation mode, I just poured everything, and it was from meeting a good mutual friend of ours. And I had lots of great friends in the industry, and just really, I love the energy of it. I love the camaraderie of it, and ended up opening a venue in Newcastle. It kind of filled a bit of a void for me for what the band used to, give, and a sense of purpose and identity, and it kind of like was going to a gig each night, going to work. It's awesome.
So what have you been doing? I mean, you're working with motorbikes now. You're up in the mid-north coast selling in a dealership up there. What have you been working on, Ben? Last time we spoke, you'd been making music.
Yeah,
is that what you're on full time?
I still dabble in music. I'd say it's more of a hobby now because it's, I guess, the core of why we started Silverchair and the band was because of our love of music. You know, we didn't never imagine what that would become. But it was always because we loved what we were doing, and I still love it. I absolutely love playing and creating music. So it's something that will always be a constant for me. Twin baby boys that are nearly 2, that takes up a hell of a lot of my time. And I help my wife. She's got a couple of businesses. So between those kind of 3 or 4 things, like I'm flat chat, and obviously like with a book coming out, that's added a whole new level of stuff that we didn't anticipate.
That sounds, not only does it sound like it's time consuming, it sounds like it's emotionally taxing because obviously, just the title alone, Love and Pain, right?
Well, last night actually, we at one of the launches, I joked around saying that you could almost put pain in brackets. You know, although we are brutally honest in the book, and there's stuff that we, wanted to address. We very much lean into the love, you know, the incredible experiences that we were fortunate enough to have with 2 best mates, you know, and the time before the band and all the, my kind of mental health and alcohol struggles and Chris's, unfathomable health stuff that he went through.
Over here,
So
and now you ride motorbikes.
I've ridden motorbikes for years, for forever. But they're a great release.
Pretty dangerous for a guy with the kind of luck,
It depends on how you look at it. Maybe I'm the luckiest guy.
I'm sure what you've gone through, and all of you, I guess, changes your relationship with luck a lot, doesn't it? Your idea of luck, because
that's right.
I feel like you get a get out of jail free card after all that with the motorbikes.
Well, I mean,
to have a heart attack after surviving cancers, that's when luck is completely, you can't even consider it anymore because it's
that's
just life
right.
now.
Well, you just think, how close was I that time? Or like, a little woo on the bike seems like nothing. It's just a graze.
You're enjoying the beautiful mid-north coast.
I do love the mid-north coast.
You like your blueberries and
love
bananas.
the lifestyle.
Lots of bananas.
And you're still in Newey?
Still in Newey.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the fact that you guys have kind of got you dabble in music. I'm sure you do too, Chris. We've got 2 ready, willing and able musicians sitting here. Has anyone given you the call up? Has anyone, like, I was just thinking it the other day actually watching Violent Soho play their last gig.
Yeah.
They'll be looking for a
guys.
band member. Are we at the point now in Australian music where we can start talking about supergroups? Because I know there's a lot of, what's
great musos out there.
Yeah, a lot of great musos out there, similar vintage. We have stalwarts in Australian music, and I think it's time we all got together.
I'll plant the seed.
Yeah, the Highwaymen 2.0. How are you feeling with the book? Are you feeling a little bit of a release?
When we finished, for me, there's been like some very key milestones, like finishing just the manuscript was definitely, you kind of go, oh, yeah, cool, we're done.
Yeah.
And then there's this next phase, and now we're into the final phase now where the book's out, and it's been quite overwhelming, the response with it, how it's been received. Yeah, pretty buggered.
Yeah,
but in a good way. Like I feel like it's been quite rewarding.
What made you guys come up with the book now?
I think it was for me, it was just it felt like the right time. I'd sort of stepped back from a little bit. Ben had suggested he was going to write a book a couple of years ago. Actually, was the first, more than that, maybe 5 years ago. And then, just after some recent life experiences and whatnot, it just felt like, a good time to lean into it and park all those amazing stories in one place.
There was definitely a catharticism and a healing that I think we were both, and some closure around the band, just because the breakup of the band, and officially we're still in indefinite hibernation. We actually haven't come together, the three of us, and said, hey, it's over. So I guess we were just looking for some closure and some healing, and it just kind of putting it all on paper and getting it, a bit of an emotional purge has been, a really nice feeling. And also back to my kids, like for me, the trigger point, like, because I was talking to Chris about it, as soon as my kids were born, that was the point where I was like, I want my boys to read my story from my perspective, and not from Googling or any clickbait articles, and then we started the process.
I do love the fact that Silverchairs, it's kind of like that Dr. Dre album that was supposed to be, he's even released a single from it 10 years ago, but we don't know when he's going to release the Detox and if he ever will. I do love the fact that you guys are in hibernation, and even at the end of this book, at the end of the Australian story, there's still no real solid answers as to whether or not we're going to see you guys play again.
No, I guess the on the band's Facebook, it still is that we're indefinite hibernation. Yeah.
And it constantly stirs. Every time you see like a festival lineup and they're talking about, someone's dropped out, there's a secret act. Like there's a secret. You're always mentioned in those moments. I remember when Chance the Rapper pulled out of Splendor in the Grass, and they're like, "There's a secret act. Don't worry, it's a secret act." I'm like, this would be a good moment for them. Probably be a good pay packet too, but Hilltop Woods flew up for it. Hilltop Woods flew in for it. But you're still in those conversations. You're still in contention in those moments
it's
too.
Nice
so
to
it
be,
means Silverchair is still alive in that sense. But I haven't actually seen you guys play outside of that, which I'd like to do. So we're going to be pushing this home. We'll do it across Betoota Advocate. Let's see if we can recommend like maybe a Killing Heidi Silverchair hybrid, or like some sort of super group. We'll see what we can do. We'll do polls.
Put some names together.
Silverfinger.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you guys toured together.
Yeah, we did a bit of that. Yeah,
Silverfinger.
That was a fun time.
Powder chair.
Yeah, no, it was Powder Chair actually. Yeah.
But I want to ask about Silverchair. Someone tried to explain it to me once. I didn't quite understand how they were saying. All I know is Silverchair is a great name. It was a great name in an era when a lot of Australian music everything was the to just to just come through with a band name that became synonymous and wasn't referenced. It didn't feel like a reference of anything else. It actually felt like an era, Silverchair. You know what I mean? It's
really kind of unremarkable, to be honest. But we made a bit of a rookie error early on in our career. This is in the book actually. We were in a coach coming back from Sydney to Newcastle after some promo or something, and it was a mum's moment. The mums were at the front of the coach, we were at the back. And the three of us were talking about, like, we need to come up with... we decided on Silverchair, and we thought we need to come up with a story behind why. Because the real story was that everyone put names into a melting pot, and we're at Triple J Studios recording the EP, I think. And there was a whiteboard, and we'd put all the names up on the board.
The top 10.
Top 10, yeah. And Silverchair just came to this, and everyone loved it, and we're like, that's the band name, right? That's how simple it was. So in this coach coming back to Newcastle, we were like, all right, we need a story, come on, and then we came up with this thing where we were calling up Triple J, requesting songs, and someone wanted Sliver by Nirvana, and someone wanted Berlin Chair by UMI, and Chris, being dyslexic, wrote down
genuinely
wrote down Silverchair. I don't even know why you'd combine both the songs together for a request anyway. It's
No
kind of
idea.
silly, but
Back of the bus 20 years ago.
That's
yeah,
right.
but that was the story we started saying to press as a funny joke, and then, you know, like, 30 years later, we're still having to explain that was just a made-up
Well,
story.
That's why I asked, because that story still doesn't really make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either.
Well, you know, the Silverchair, as we said, indefinite hibernation. Anything could happen. But we'll be getting you guys back on here when there is, you know, again, another album on the side. You get that done on the side of having two under two. And all of your other commitments. But congratulations on the book, guys.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for sharing the story with everyone, because obviously, you know, you're a pivotal kind of force in a lot of people's lives, and a lot of people, and I'm sure you get those people that come up to you and go, hey, can I just say, when you released that album, it was like everything to me. I'm sure
Yeah.
I mean, Silverchair is one of those bands where I know people wouldn't be able to control themselves and would have to tell you how much you meant to them.
Well, I think most people can relate to music is a timestamp
Yeah.
for, you know, special moments in your life. So, you know, it's cool that we're part of that for so many people.
No, well, thank you for giving us the warts and all, and done very respectfully too, I might add. You know what I mean? Like, I know that there would have been tantrums over the years, and there would have been some serious blow-ups, and you managed to detail that without calling anyone a so-and-so. I'm sure that was a big part of it. Was there a bit of drafting going on, maybe?
Oh, look, Ben and I definitely made a conscious effort of being just honest.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a better understanding and a better sense of just respect for what happened,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't about trying to, you know, make a statement in terms of he said this and I did that.
Yeah.
It's just there's some really great stories, and that was just our perspective on that journey.
Yeah. And you're all here to tell the story, which is great news. And you're looking healthy, boys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Particularly you, by the way. I didn't. Since we last saw, you'd actually had those health concerns, and
little
you're
hardy and stuff.
yeah, a little bit of a hardy.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you keto? What do we work with? FODMAP?
Just everything in moderation.
Yeah, everything in moderation.
Just enjoy life.
Well, I'll finish with this one. Everything in moderation, including moderation. Thanks for joining us, guys.
You.
Thanks, guys.